Most people carry a quiet shame about their lack of discipline. They treat it like a character defect, like something broken inside them that other people somehow don't have. But that belief is not just wrong. It is the very thing keeping you stuck. What almost nobody tells you is that discipline, the way society defines it and sells it to you, works directly against the way your brain was built to function. And this is not a motivational talking point. This is neuroscience. Your brain did not evolve to chase long-term goals. It did not evolve to resist temptation or power through discomfort for the sake of some abstract future reward. It evolved for one purpose and one purpose only: to keep you alive right now. Over millions of years of human evolution, the brains that survived were the ones that conserved energy, grabbed rewards quickly, and avoided unnecessary risk. The brain you were born with is still running that same ancient software. When you set your alarm for 5:30 a.m. to go to the gym, your brain doesn't interpret it as ambition. It sees a threat to your warmth, your sleep, your comfort, your energy reserves. When you open your laptop to work on something important, your brain immediately suggests a quick scroll through social media because that delivers dopamine fast, effortlessly, and with zero cost. And the gym, the book, the project, the hard thing you know you should be doing, that requires effort before it delivers anything. Your brain despises that equation. This is not weakness. It is biology. And here is the thing that changes everything once you truly understand it. You cannot beat millions of years of evolutionary wiring with a motivational quote. You cannot override ancient neurological programming by simply wanting it more. Willpower is not a sustainable fuel source. It depletes. And when it does, your brain snaps back to its default setting, which is always the path of least resistance. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, identified one of the most important truths about human behavior. He said that real discipline does not come from force, it comes from design. The people who seem consistently productive, who exercise regularly, read daily, and show up even when they don't feel like it, are not more motivated than you. They are not born with a stronger character. They have simply built systems and environments that make the right behaviors automatic and the wrong behaviors inconvenient. They stopped fighting their brain and started engineering around it. In the next several minutes, we are going to take apart everything you think you know about discipline. We are going to expose the invisible mistakes you have been making, and we are going to replace the old model of struggle and guilt with something smarter, more sustainable, and more aligned with how you actually work as a human being. If you have ever felt disgusted with yourself for procrastinating, if you have ever made a plan with genuine conviction only to abandon it within days, this is not a video that will lecture you. It is a video that will show you exactly why that kept happening and how to make sure it stops. Let's begin with the brain itself. Because you cannot fix what you do not understand. For nearly all of human history, your ancestors lived in environments where survival was genuinely uncertain. Food could run out, predators were real. Every decision carried physical stakes. In that world, the brain that thrived was the one that said, "Eat now while you can, rest now while it is safe, avoid any effort that does not immediately serve survival." That was the winning strategy for thousands of generations. That same brain is inside you right now, and it does not know that you live in the 21st century. It does not know that scrolling for 3 hours is not rest, that processed food is not nourishment, that avoiding your goals is not safety. It only knows what requires less energy and what delivers faster reward. Neuroscientists call this cognitive ease. It is the brain's deeply ingrained tendency to always move toward whatever costs the least. And what makes this so important is that it happens automatically, below the level of conscious decision-making. You don't choose to procrastinate. Your brain has already quietly chosen for you before you even realized a decision was being made. So the conflict isn't a moral one, it's a design conflict. Your biology is optimized for immediate comfort. Your goals require delayed effort. And until those two things are reconciled at a structural level, not a motivational one, you will keep losing that battle no matter how badly you want to win it. Clear, put it plainly. Motivation is overrated. Environment matters more. If you constantly need to summon willpower to do what you know you should, it means you are at war with your own architecture, and fatigue always wins a war of attrition. The brain always retreats to autopilot, and autopilot always picks the easiest option. The first step to changing this is not to push harder. It is to stop expecting force to work and start understanding what does. Now that you see the brain for what it is, we can examine the environment, which is the actual battleground where your behavior is decided every single day. Here is where most people are completely blind. They believe self-control is an internal strength, something you either have or you don't. But research consistently shows that self-control is extraordinarily fragile. It collapses almost immediately when the environment around you is working against you. Picture this scenario. You decide you are going to start working out. You feel the motivation, the intention, the resolve. But when morning comes, your gym clothes are buried in a drawer, your shoes are in the car, it's cold, the couch is close. Your phone is already in your hand, the app already open. In that moment, you are not choosing between discipline and laziness. You are choosing between what is immediately available and what requires effort to access, and your brain, as we have established, will choose the former every single time. This is not a failure of character. It is a failure of setup. The concept James Clear calls choice architecture explains this precisely. Human behavior is shaped above all by what is closest, what is most visible, and what is most accessible. We do not make purely rational choices. We make environmental ones. The decision is largely made by the structure we are standing inside. There was a famous study where researchers simply moved water bottles to the front of a cafeteria, making them easier to grab than sodas. No campaign, no incentives, no lectures about health, just a change in placement. Water consumption increased significantly. Soda dropped. The behavior changed because the environment changed. Now apply that logic to your own life. Want to read more? Put the book on your pillow, not on a shelf in the other room. Want to cut your phone use? Put the charger in a different room. Keep the phone out of sight. Install an app blocker. Want to train in the morning? Set out your workout clothes the night before, right next to your bed, as a physical commitment waiting for you before you're fully awake. This is not laziness. This is intelligence. Disciplined people are not grinding harder than everyone else. They are thinking upstream. They are designing systems that make discipline unnecessary in the traditional sense, so that good choices require less effort than bad ones. Now, let's go one level deeper, because understanding environment is powerful, but there is another layer. Using the habits already running in your brain to carry new ones. Your brain is already running dozens of automated behavioral loops every single day. You make coffee when you wake up. You check your phone when you sit down. You reach for a snack when you turn on the TV. These patterns are not conscious choices. They are grooves worn into your neurology through repetition. The brain runs them on autopilot to conserve energy. Habit stacking, a strategy James Clear outlines with precision, works by attaching a new desired behavior to one of these existing automatic routines. Instead of trying to launch a new habit from cold, you hook it onto something your brain is already doing without effort. The structure is straightforward. After I do this existing habit, I will do this new behavior. For example, after you make your morning coffee, you open your journal and write 3 sentences. After you brush your teeth at night, you read for 5 minutes. After you lock your front door, you take 3 deep breaths and set your intention for the day. The brain begins to link the new action to the existing cue. Over time, the association strengthens. The new behavior stops feeling like a separate task and starts feeling like a natural extension of what you were already doing. You are not fighting inertia. You are borrowing momentum. The reason this works is rooted in how habits are physically structured in the brain. Every habit consists of 3 elements: a cue that triggers the loop, the routine that is the behavior itself, and the reward that closes the loop and reinforces repetition. Habit stacking inserts a new routine into a loop that already has a cue firing automatically. One critical rule: keep the new behavior small, extremely small. Clear argues for the 2-minute rule. The stacked behavior should take no more than 2 minutes at the start, not because 2 minutes is the goal, because 2 minutes removes the resistance to starting, and starting is always the hardest part. Once you are in motion, continuing is far easier than beginning. These micro-habits compound over time in ways that are genuinely shocking to observe in your own life. What feels trivial in the beginning accumulates into identity-level transformation over weeks and months, but that accumulation only happens if you start. And habit stacking is the most reliable way to guarantee that you do. Now here is the piece of the puzzle that most people get entirely wrong: procrastination. The word itself has been weaponized against you. Society treats it like a moral failing, evidence of laziness, weakness, or lack of drive. People say it about themselves with a strange combination of frustration and resignation, as if it were just the way they are. It is not the way you are. Procrastination is a symptom. It is diagnostic information. It tells you that the behavior you are trying to execute has been designed in a way that your brain is going to resist every single time. When you avoid a task, your brain is communicating something specific. This action requires too much effort, offers no immediate reward, and the path to it is either unclear or unpleasant. The avoidance is not irrational. From the brain's perspective, it is the only sensible response to a poorly engineered situation. James Clear organized the solution into 4 laws of behavior change. 4 conditions that, when present, make a behavior easy to maintain. When absent, make failure almost certain. The first law is, make it obvious. What is not visible will not be remembered. Your brain needs environmental cues to trigger action. If the habit is hidden, it will be forgotten. Put what you want to do in plain sight. The second law is, make it attractive. The brain moves toward anticipated pleasure. If the habit feels like pure punishment, the brain will work to avoid it. Find a way to pair the desired behavior with something genuinely enjoyable. Study while drinking a coffee you love. Work out to a playlist that actually energizes you. The behavior doesn't have to be fun, but the experience around it can be. The third law is, make it easy. Every additional step between you and the behavior is friction. Friction kills follow-through. Reduce the behavior to its smallest possible form. Not exercise for an hour. Exercise for 5 minutes. Not study until I've mastered this chapter. Open the book and read 1 page. You are not lowering your standards. You are removing the activation energy that stops you from starting. The fourth law is, make it satisfying. The brain encodes behaviors that feel rewarding and abandons ones that don't. Create a small, immediate sense of completion when you execute the habit. Track it on a calendar. Mark it on a board. Give yourself a minor reward. The reward doesn't have to be significant. It just has to be real and immediate enough for the brain to register. That felt good. Do it again. Run these 4 laws against any habit you currently struggle with, and you will find at least one of them is broken. Fix the broken law, and the habit becomes fundamentally easier to sustain. If you're realizing how much of this has been working against you until now, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It supports the channel and helps bring more of these deeper breakdowns to you. This is not a trick. It is behavioral engineering, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every failed habit has a structural flaw. Every successful one has these 4 elements working in its favor. Now here is the deeper truth that ties all of this together. And it is the one that most productivity content refuses to say out loud. You do not need to enjoy discipline to become disciplined. You do not need to love the process. You do not need to feel motivated every morning. You do not need to be excited about the hard thing. You just need to make the hard thing so structurally inevitable that the decision is essentially made for you. There is an entire industry built around the idea of falling in love with the grind, embracing the process, finding passion in the routine. And while there is something real in that idea for some people, it is functionally useless advice for someone who hasn't yet built the habit. Telling someone to love what they haven't started is like telling someone to enjoy swimming before they've gotten in the water. The most consistently high-performing people don't love every day of their routine. They don't wake up thrilled about every task on their list. What they have is something far more reliable than passion. They have a structure that runs even when the feeling isn't there. Consider someone who wants to run every morning. On any given day, 9 times out of 10, they don't feel like it. The body wants sleep. The mind manufactures reasons to skip. But if the shoes are already beside the bed, the alarm is across the room, so they have to get up to turn it off. The route is familiar, the music is cued, and a running partner is waiting at the corner, then the structure removes the question of whether or not they feel like it. They have already decided, before the feeling ever arrived. James Clear captures this with what may be the most important single sentence in his entire body of work. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your future will not be determined by what you intend to do. It will be determined by what your daily defaults are. And the more automated those defaults become, the less you will depend on motivation, which is unstable, and the more you will depend on systems, which are not. This is the shift from motivation to architecture, from wanting to built in such a way that it happens, from fighting yourself to engineering yourself. And that leads to the final, most important idea of everything we've covered today. All of the strategies we've discussed, environment, design, habit stacking, the 4 laws, reducing friction, none of them will produce permanent change unless the deepest layer shifts. And the deepest layer is identity. James Clear argues, and the evidence supports him, that the most durable form of behavior change is not outcome-based or process-based. It is identity-based. It is not, I want to become someone who exercises regularly. It is, I am the kind of person who moves their body every day. The shift from aspiration to identity is the difference between a goal and a transformation, because here is what actually happens when you make small, disciplined choices consistently. You are not just building habits. You are casting votes for a version of yourself. Every time you execute, even briefly, even imperfectly, you are signaling to your own nervous system, this is who I am. And that accumulation of signal, that repeated self-testimony, is what reshapes identity. Every time you train when you don't feel like it, you are telling yourself, I am someone who shows up. Every time you choose the book over the scroll, you are telling yourself, I am someone who invests in their own mind. Every time you execute for 2 minutes, instead of doing nothing, you are telling yourself, I am someone who acts on their intentions. And as that identity solidifies, something remarkable happens. The behavior stops feeling like discipline and starts feeling like expression. You are not forcing yourself to act like a focused, consistent person. You are simply being one. This is the game beneath the game. Discipline is not the destination. Discipline is the shadow cast by someone who has aligned their identity, their environment, and their systems toward the same direction. It is not something you do. It is something you become. And you become it not through willpower, but through design. So let me leave you with this. You can walk away from this video and continue blaming yourself for not being strong enough. You can keep trying to force behaviors that your environment makes almost impossible. You can keep waiting for the motivation that never quite shows up consistently. Or you can do something different starting today. Pick one habit that matters to you. Apply the 4 laws. Stack it onto something you already do. Remove one piece of friction from it. Make it visible. Make it tiny. Make it rewarding. And then watch what happens over the next 30 days when the system does the work instead of your willpower. You don't need to be a different person to start this. You just need to start. And starting is already a vote for who you are becoming. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the one habit you are going to redesign first? Drop it in the comments. Writing it down is not a small thing. It is the first vote cast for your new identity. And if this video changed how you think about discipline, subscribe to the channel. Because this is exactly the kind of deep, practical thinking we go into every week. No empty motivation, no recycled advice, just the kind of insight that actually holds up when you test it against real life.